This rugby recap is brought to you by Specsavers. I'm Jennifer Snassi, you're watching News 24 Live, and welcome to a series of videos where we give you all the latest breaking news in regards to South African rugby, and that's brought to you by Specsavers. Joining me in studio is Sport24 editor Garen and chief writer Rob, and we are going to talk about the Boks versus Scotland. Now, they absolutely killed Scotland on the weekend, 49-point margin. Garen, why don't you take us through the game?
Yeah, it was a fantastic performance by the Springboks. Really impressed to see the way that they did play. You know, they've now gone through this incoming series of matches unbeaten, which is fantastic heading into the Rugby Championships, which is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. But getting back to Saturday's game, 55-6 final score, 49-point margin. I think Rob and I both predicted
that it would be a huge margin.
It could be anything from 20 to 40, and it was even more than that. So great to see the Boks, especially considering the fact that they were missing a number of their overseas-based Boks who bizarrely were actually in the crowd, so they weren't back in overseas.
Not eligible.
So they just couldn't play. They needed to be rested, basically.
Yeah.
So, but it was fantastic to see the youngsters come through. I was particularly impressed by Andre Pollard, who was making his debut for the Green and Gold. He was fantastic, coming off the World IRB Juniors Championships where he was man of the tournament. So he's got a bright future. I'd love to see him given more game time heading into the Rugby Championships. So but a fantastic performance across the board. There was really not a player who didn't stand up and raise his hand. So bodes well. I'm really enthused by the way things are going. I feel a little bit sorry for Scotland. They were fairly rubbish, to be honest, and their depth, talking about the IRB Junior World Series, doesn't bode well for them. They've got very little in the way of talent coming through. So, and bizarrely, these two teams will do battle at the World Cup in the same group again. So 15 months away from the next year's World Cup, Scotland shouldn't pose much of a problem for the Boks there.
Rob, were you surprised by anything that happened in the game?
Not really. I was delighted with the calibre of the Springbok performance. I get very annoyed, Jen, with the Springbok supporters who, a week ago, they were saying, how could we let Wales run us so close? We were lucky to get that late 31-30 win, so now we need to go out and massacre Scotland. And what did they do? They did go out and massacre Scotland. And then a few fans said, but it was only Scotland. So, you just can't win as a Springbok player. We need to celebrate games like this. When you do put clearly inferior opposition away properly, then, you've done your job. Plain and simple, full stop, no arguments to me. And I thought the Boks were terrific. I thought that they, apart from a little wobble in the second 20 minutes of the first half, Garen, I thought that the Springboks, the nice thing was that they went into the tunnel and they came out with a real purpose, knowing what they'd done a little bit wrong in the dying stages of the first half, and they came back and played superb rugby in the second half to match the opening 20 minutes in the first, where they'd actually scored 3 tries very quickly. I think in the first 19 minutes they'd got 3 on the board, and then you knew already it was good night Scotland. And in the second half we really sort of made our supremacy very apparent, and an awful lot of Springbok players played well, and it presents, I think, a very pleasing dilemma for Heineke Meyer when he has to name a squad for the Rugby Championship further down the line.